Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my December 2023 book haul, my final book haul of the year. And as such, this is holiday season, and most of the books I'll be sharing with you are holiday gifts that were graciously given to me by my family. In fact, for the past few years, I've had quite a nice system with them where I give them books for one of my bookish resolutions for the new year, and they buy the used copies that I link to. So that will be most of the books I share with you, and then I'll have a special one at the end. And anyway, so I have several resolutions, bookish resolutions that is, going into the new year. In fact, I made a whole post about it. I'll link down below if you're interested. One of the big ones is what I call my top of the Goodreads TBR, which is that I look at the books I put on my Goodreads TBR most long ago, and I skim the ones off the top. So I had several books, some of which I owned and some of which I didn't, that I am planning to get to this year. So it's exciting to show you these books because you should hopefully be seeing them crop up in my AM reading videos throughout 2024. So, without further ado, and in no particular order, I'll show them to you now. The first book on my stack is a collection of short stories called Glass Beads by Dawn Dumont. I remember some years ago, in fact, I found this randomly at work. I work with a bunch of random books sometimes, and sometimes they intrigue me, and I've added a few to my Goodreads TBR throughout the year. And so this is a collection by an Indigenous American, and are about, people from her community, or, based off of people from her community. And I thought it would be an intriguing look at a community that I don't know as much about as I certainly should. This second book gets into Holocaust fiction that I found through the Jewish Book Council website, I'm sure, some years ago. This is The Fortunate Ones by Ellen Umansky. And it's, I try to be, a little discerning with Holocaust fiction and not read too much of it, but I think part of the reason this one caught my attention is that it's, a dual timeline thing, that, there is one part, going off the back here that takes place in Vienna 1939, and then another part takes place in Los Angeles in present day, so it really is going to be a lot about how the past impacts the present. I think that's an angle that certainly is of particular interest to me. Next, I have Paris Metro by Wendell Stevenson. This is a book about modern geopolitical issues. The protagonist, I believe, is an American journalist who covers foreign affairs and reported from the Middle East. And then had a child with a Middle Eastern man that she raised alone in Paris around the time of the Charlie Hebdo attacks. And I think she and her son are viewing these events quite differently, and it's kind of about cultural clashes even within a family. So that's very intriguing to me. And this one is The Imperial Wife by Irina Rain. This is a dual timeline historical fiction novel having to do with art. I tend to follow this a lot. I believe there might be some Jewish rep in here. I'm not entirely sure, but probably that's why it caught my attention. So in the modern storyline, there's a protagonist who's an art dealer trying to deal with Russian oligarchs and this artifact, I think, that might be related to Catherine the Great. And then the historical timeline goes back and sees her directly, which should be intriguing. I've been watching some things, on the television that are, retellings of Catherine the Great, like The Great on Hulu, which is largely fictionalized. And then there was the Helen Mirren miniseries about the end of her life on HBO a few years ago. So it'll be intriguing to see what this novel might be able to do with that topic. These next two books I have to show you are both YA historical fiction with Jewish themes. It's I'm Glad I Did by Cynthia Weil, and Imagining Catherine by Carol Solomon. Both of them take place in the US in the 1960s following Jewish American protagonists. So I put them on my list around the same time, and I'm pretty much hoping to read them in the same month. Maybe I'll be able to do some compare and contrast about how these authors deal with similar themes. And this next book, Swimming to Elba by Sylvia Avalone, I hope to read for Women in Translation Month because this is a translated novel by a female author, translated from the Italian by Anthony Shugar. So I'm very excited. This, in fact, fits two of my goals for my bookish resolutions, that it was at the top of my Goodreads TBR, and also something that I could prep to read for Women in Translation Month in August. So it's always kind of exciting when I can do two in one like this. And speaking of such, I hope to get to this novel in December. This is The Crane's Dance by Meg Howrey, and as it reached the top of my Goodreads TBR, I realized that Meg Howrey had written a couple of novels, the most recent of which came out in 2022. And I also, a few years ago, read her novel The Wanderers, and I liked it, so I thought, why not, commit to this author for my author backlist goal. Right now, currently, I'm reading through Geraldine Brooks's backlist, and I'll be making a video about that, I hope, in January. So next December, I'm hoping to read a few Meg Howrey books, including this one, which I believe is about dancers, and then in January 2025, if I can think that far, maybe I'll be talking about her. So stay tuned. These next two are random ones that I found through the Jewish Book Council that I'll be reading next year. I'll start with A Call from Spooner Street by Carol Asher, and I'll go ahead and read from the back. 3 generations of strong-minded Rosens have gone their own ways, keeping a safe distance from one another. When Peter Rosen, the octogenarian emigre professor, takes a bad fall in the snow, his estranged adult daughter Marlene begins flying regularly to Madison. Long days on Spooner Street amidst her ailing father's beloved German books enable Marlene to let go of old bitterness and rekindle her love for him. When her son Noah returns from Africa for a last visit with his grandfather, he instigates a deeper honesty, love, and forgiveness between all 3 Rosens. So yeah, this obviously spoke to my love of family drama, and it is exciting. I guess they're kind of, the cover copy kind of spoils the book, I suppose, that we know that hopefully it'll have a happy ending, but I'm always in things for the character drama, so I'll be intrigued to see the twists and turns of what's happening between these family members here. And my penultimate book of my top of the Goodreads list is Unknown Caller by Deborah Spark, which I'm hoping to read soon. And actually, there is no cover copy in the book so far as I can see. The back has blurbs from other authors, so I went ahead to Google Books to summarize. For as long as Daniela has been married to Joel, they've received phone calls at odd hours and late at night. Daniela knows the caller as Liesel, Joel's first wife, a woman whose sudden departure devastated her husband. After years of disruptive, long-distance phone calls, Liesel rings to tell Joel she's letting Itzia, the 17-year-old daughter he has never met, visit for the summer. Daniela and Joel prepare for Itzia's arrival, but when Joel goes to pick her up from the airport, Itzia is not there. Back at home, the phone calls suddenly stop, and Joel and Daniela become haunted by the absence of someone who was never part of their life to begin with. So yeah, reprising the theme of family drama, this one feels like it might be a little more fraught, or at least the ending isn't spoiled. But yep, I just remember myself a few years ago reading about this on the Jewish Book Council website and thinking, ooh, this sounds like it's up my alley, The Jewish content might perhaps be a little nominal, but it's kind of my excuse to get into these family drama books that I hope I'm not wasting too much of my time with. So I am sort of, I guess, since I'm in the new year frame of mind, thinking about why I choose books and if they turn out to be as good as I hope. But certainly I'm hoping for the best, and I suppose I should also remind myself that books like this one might be off the beaten path, might be by independent publishers, so that's also a good feeling to be able to expand my repertoire, and I'm especially grateful that Jewish Book Council tends to have a nice mix of the top publishers and the little guy as well. And finally, speaking of very small indie publishers where I have a vested interest, I'm going to hold up the Days of Awe anthology. They tried to kill us, we survived, let's eat. I've held it up in several videos or talked about this anthology because I have my own short story, Mishkan, published in here. The ebook came out in September and the paperback came out this month, so I gleefully snatched up a copy. Ta-da! Here's the start of my story near the very end, and I do hope to be talking a little more about this book in the coming year. I'm going to go through the rest of the stories as well. I'm very excited about that. And if you would like more information about this anthology, which I'll say here is a Jewish anthology where our editor Aviva Blakeman sent us the task of writing stories about Jewish joy where we get to save the day for ourselves. My story is a post-apocalyptic story, kind of more in the vein of Station 11 than anything high-octane. But yes, anyway, I will link to more information down below, including how you can purchase a copy. So that about covers it for me now. I will also leave the Goodreads links for all of these books listed down below if you'd like more information. I will be back on this channel for my final Am reading video that I'm going to try to squeeze in before the month is out. I hope you are all accumulating great new books that you're eagerly anticipating for the new year, no matter your reasons for accumulating them. I hope they'll be good ones, and I'd love to hear about them or hear your thoughts about any of these books. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.